Hey guys, and welcome to part 14 of the Godot top-down shooter tutorial. My name is Joe, and in this video we're going to get and finish our advanced AI. So not only are we going to be able to capture bases, but our AI is going to attack with us and move on to the next base whenever one is captured. So it is really cool. I'm really excited that we finally got this far and have some awesome progress, and you're finally going to be able to run your own game and see gunfights like this, as simple as they may be, and see your AI actually attacking each other and capturing bases. So let's get started, and we're going to make some really awesome stuff today. Okay, so we left off last time by having the code in here to basically detect which base should be captured first upon the game start for each team. We don't actually have code that will update that when bases are captured, but at least at the start of the game we're going to get the next capturable base and return it. The thing we didn't get to that we were about to was actually telling our AI, our units, to do that. So that's what we want to start out with here. And in order to help with that, one thing I'm going to do is come into our AI, and I'm just going to give this a class name so that we can access it. Class name AI. Let's do that. So back in our map AI, so here's where we want to assign a capturable base target to each of our AI. So I'm going to say var AI equals unit.ai, because we want to get the AI on that unit, which is just going to be an enemy or an ally. And then in our AI, we have a couple functions we want to call. So we have the set state function, so we can pass in our engage state. So or not engage, sorry, our advanced state. So I'm going to add that now. So now we have an advanced state. And let's just add some of the plumbing for that here. So state.advance, and we'll just do a pass for now. Perfect. And then we're also going to need some stuff here. So I'll say elif new state equals state.advance. We'll just do pass. Okay, so we have that. So come back here. So now with our AI, we're going to need to say AI.set state. Oops, I can type that as AI. So set state. There we go. Love the auto completion. And here we can say AI dot, and because we made this a class name, we can access the state enum from outside of the scope of that script. So we can say state dot engage or advance. I'm gonna get that confused so many times. Cool. So we're setting the state to advance, but it doesn't actually do anything yet. Let's add similar to what we did before, how we add some variables for the patrol state. I'm gonna add a couple more for our advanced state. Again, eventually we'd like to pull all this stuff out into a handler, a controller for each state, but we'll just do it in here for now. I'll say var next base, which will be vector 2, and we'll just set it to vector 2.0 for now. I think that should be fine. And so what we can do here is say, let's do this first. So AI.next base equals a base location. Okay, so we are going to set the next base location on our AI, and then we're going to set our state to advance. And now, so if I come in here, I think what we want to do is when we set our state, we need to look and see, we need to look and see whether we are at that base yet. And if not, we need to keep moving. And we've done something like this before, like we've, like, are we close enough to whatever for our patrol state? And so I think I want to add a function for this to our actor. So I'll say, because remember, we're trying to have as much of the movement or positioning code, like the non-AI related stuff, as we can in our actor as possible. So I'll say has reached position, and this will take a location, which will be a vector 2, and this will return a Boolean. And then we're really just going to do that same check that we had in our AI. So return global position dot, hold on, let me go and just grab this. Global position dot distance 2 less than 5. 5 seems like a good number, so I can just copy that in here, and it'll just return that. Location. There we go. So I should now just be able to replace this if actor dot has reached position, or yeah, right, that's what we called it, and I pass in patrol location. Then okay, let me just make sure has reached position. Yes, okay. So we're going to call that on our actor, and now we can use the same thing for our next base. So when we switch to our advanced state, we can say if actor.has reached position next base. So if we set it to advanced and we're already there, we can just do set state to be state.patrol. So when we get there, we just do that. And we're going to have code very similar to this, I think, in our process up here. So basically in each process, we'll do kind of the same thing, I believe, where when we get there, we will just set our state to patrol. We might change this later, but for now, I think this should be good. So this will just keep our actor moving as long as we have not hit our base yet. Okay, so now I think to actually get our character to move, we can add a lot of the same handling we had for our patrol, where we have an actor velocity that we're setting. So what we can do here is when we go to our advanced state, so if we've reached the base, we just go back to patrol. Else we can say actor velocity equals actor.velocity toward, right? Isn't that what I called it? Do we not have typing on our actor? Kinematic body 2D. Oh no. Whoa, do I not have a class name for actor? That's crazy. Okay, let's just do that. So that should help a little bit. So we actually have an actor, and now I should get a little bit better auto completion here. So velocity toward, nice. Next base. Okay, so then we're gonna set our velocity toward our next base, and then up here, similar thing here. For a patrol, we had an extra flag about patrol location reached, and that was because we wanted it to stay in the same state even if it reached the location. But here, as soon as we reach our next base with our advanced state, we want to go back to patrol or engage if there's a unit there. So I don't think we need an extra flag here, because as soon as we hit our destination, we're ready to switch states back to patrol and wait until there's a new location or an enemy enters our detection range. So I think we can ignore having a separate flag and just kind of do this part here, where if we have not reached our location, we can do move and slide and rotate toward. I think it is that easy. So move and slide, actor velocity, which is good, and then rotate towards next base. So we're heading towards our next base. And then I think, I'm just totally knocking on wood here, but I think this should still just work with our engage, right? Because if an enemy enters, we're just going to hit engage state. We're not doing any of our move and slide code. We're just going to start attacking. And when we leave the engage state, here's where we probably want to change it from patrol to advance. And so say that our unit has reached the base and is in patrol, and then an enemy comes in and it enters the engage state, and then the enemy goes away. Well, we want it to go right back to patrol, right? Because it's already there. But I think that'll work because we'll set state to advance, and then it'll get in here and detect that it's actually at that position, and then just set it to be patrol. So I think this will cover all of our bases. We'll have to do some testing and make sure it's all good, but I think this should be most of what we need. We're handling moving towards our next base, rotating towards it, and then when we're there, we're going back to patrol. So let's just make sure this works and everything's good, and we'll adjust as needed, but I think most of it is there. Okay, so if I try to run this, we will, get an error. And it's saying we can't convert argument 1 from nil to vector 2 and assign. Okay. So this is what I was trying out. I was trying to see if we could type this as vector 2, but then allow it to take a null here. I guess that will not work. So we will need to do that check here and say if next base is not equal null and next base does not equal vector 2.0, then we will assign the next base. The reason I wanted to try and have that handling, that check in this assign next capturable base function, is because I didn't want to have this check every time we needed to assign it, but we can figure that out when we get there, and I think this is probably a good change for now. Okay, now that we have that fixed, there's one other huge bug or mistake I made that we need to fix. And I think I was just not paying attention, but we accidentally said here, if the team that owns the base, like we were only assigning a new base to capture if our team was the same as the team that owns the base. But obviously that's wrong. We only want to capture bases that we do not own. So we need to flip this one to be does not equal the base of the team. So with that, let us run it. And we will see, one, that we're going towards the base, which is great, but also our units are then promptly heading backwards forever. So I need to check and make sure what's going on with that. But on one hand, they are moving towards our base. So we are assigning that correctly, which is awesome. But there's something else that is going on. So give me a second and I'll fix that and we can get that bug taken care of. Okay, so I figured it out. And it was just kind of stupid. So if we go into our AI script, one thing we were doing is when we set a new patrol location or we set a new base location, we were setting our actor velocity only once, and it was on the initial setting or initial setting of that new location. And we actually don't want to do that. So I'm going to get rid of this line on our patrol timer timeout, and I'm going to get rid of these two lines here on our advanced state setting. And I'm going to add them into our physics process so that we are always recalculating the velocity and direction toward our actor or toward the location we're going. Because what was happening was in our patrol state, for example, they'd set a new patrol location and then one of our units would bump into the other and it would kind of throw it off, but it'd have the same velocity, but like it'd be in the wrong spot now. So it'd be going in like an incorrect direction or it'd get messed up. And same with our advanced state, we'd have both our units that would head towards the base and then they'd hit each other and there'd be enough of a physics collision or something that it would knock them off course, but their velocity wouldn't be changing because we only set it in that one spot. So the solution to all of these is just to re-update our velocity within our physics process so that we're always making sure that no matter where you get bumped or whatever happens, our velocity is correct. And there was actually a bug, I think a video or two ago, where I noticed this and I wasn't sure what it was. I think I remarked on it and was like, oh, that was weird. And this is why. So the way to fix it is, one, in our advanced state, before we actually set move and slide, we need to say actor velocity equals actor.velocity toward our next base. So we're just recreating the two lines we got rid of. So in our advanced state, we're always setting our velocity to be towards our next base. And then in our patrol state, before we actually do our move and slide, we will say actor velocity equals actor.velocity toward our patrol location. And so our patrol state is not really that intelligent right now. It's easy for them to get locked up on each other and not be able to actually get to their patrol location because they can never reach it because they're in each other's way. So that's definitely something we can improve later on. Have a raycast in front of them, for example, where if there's an obstacle in the way, they'll just, go as far as they can. But again, for now, we don't need the best. We just need something that kind of works. And so now that I've fixed that, you'll see them go towards our base and you'll see that they get stuck on each other, but they're at least there and they go back to the patrol state once they've reached our base. So again, it's kind of messed up, but they're able to capture that base totally on their own. I never entered the radius for that. And if we walk over to our enemy base, we should see the same thing. All three of them just kind of jumbled together, but they'll have capped the base. And look at that. So you can see them shaking, they're obviously stuck on each other. They're kind of going around, but they capped the base. They are in a patrol state. Oh, whoops. It looks like I capped that just by walking by. Okay, that kind of looks like a bug, so that's something we'll have to fix, but hang on to that for later. But yeah, they were able to cap it. So they went to the base and they're just hanging out now. So on one hand, it kind of looks dumb, but on the other hand, it works. We have an advanced state. They'll go to the next base and they'll patrol it. Now the only extra thing we could do to make it better and really make the game kind of start to get fully featured is to connect our map AI with our base captured signal. So when it detects that a base has been captured, it can update the current base that enemies are supposed to go to. Because right now we're just doing it when our level loads up. We're not actually updating or refreshing it as it goes. So that should be kind of the next thing we tackle to have where it really feels like our AI will capture all the bases that they can. Okay, and so in order to wire that up, let's go back into our map AI. And so really what we want to do is call these two lines, right? Not only at the beginning, but whenever a base gets captured, we want to then get the next capturable base for both teams and then assign that base if there is one. So what I can do is just have another wrapper function. We'll have 3 layers of functions on this one, but that's all right, which will say check for capturable bases, I suppose. I don't know, it doesn't really matter at this point. All we're gonna do is do these, just move them down there, come up here, tab that, add a line there, replace this with check for capturable bases. So we don't really need a parameter here, right? And the nice thing about this is we can actually call this from our main scene now. So yeah, there's a couple ways we could do this. You know, we could, instead of just passing the capturable bases in, or in addition to that, we could pass in our capturable base manager. We could also just we could also just loop through at the beginning and connect to each one of these bases. Like whenever any of them gives off that signal that they've been captured, we can do this. But all of those are great ways to do it. I think what I'm gonna do, well, what I was thinking was adding a signal like base captured here. So if any of its bases were captured, this would just send one signal to say to update it. But I think actually, since we already have what we have, it might be easier to just loop through the bases that we have. So let's do that. I kind of like that. So we're already getting these capturable bases passed in. We don't really need more context than that. So what we can do is say for base in capturable bases, we will say base dot connect. This will be captured base captured, and this will have a new team on it. We don't really need that right now. We'll say self, and we'll say handle. Let's do handle base captured. Ooh. Okay, so here I'm gonna have another function called handle base captured, and this is gonna have a new team parameter coming through from this signal, like we see here. We don't really need that right now, so I'm gonna add this underscore in front of it so I won't get the debugger warning like, hey, unused variable. So we might need that eventually, but for now we don't. Really, all I need to do is just recheck the captured bases. So now with what we have here, we should be, whenever a base is captured, it should be telling our AI to basically re-update which base it's looking at. And because we only have a few capturable bases, this really isn't that big of a deal. I mean, even if we had 10 bases and 100 units on each one, that's like at the most, every like few seconds, we would be doing, 1,000 operations. So I'm not really worried about the performance hit of doing this, even though we are looping through all of our enemies and all of our bases a couple times. There's definitely some optimizations we could make here, only listen to bases that are captured that we don't own, or etc., or ones we care about. So there's more logic we could have here, but for now, this should be enough. So now if we run this, we should see, after we capture our initial base, that our units go towards the next one. And if we have our logic right for how we're looping through bases, we should see them all converge on the middle one. So let's wait until this is done. And we should be automatically overriding our patrol state to our advance. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. It worked. Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh. It's the lamest gunfight ever, but it is a gunfight. Oh my gosh, guys, look at this. We have an advanced state. Our units advance and they fight each other. Man. Wow. There are many, many refinements we can make to that, but come on. I mean, that is the biggest part of our game is done. The AI and the core logic are here. It's just polishing from now as far as that goes. We have bases that are capturable, and our units will go and capture them. And then he'll just sit here in patrol state for a while. Do I still have friendly fire? I forget if we turned that off. Looks like we did. But anyway, guys, whoa. I think I'm going to end it here because this has been awesome. I think we made a ton of progress, and even though there's still a lot of work to do, this has been, this is a big milestone. This is a big step, and we're definitely going to need to do respawn soon. Now that I've been waiting to do maps and tile maps and actually adding objects to our game until we had these core mechanics done. It may seem counterintuitive, but I just felt like it'd be easier to build maps around our base system. So now that we have this, I think we're ready to start doing that. I definitely want to add UI soon. I feel like we've been holding off on that for way too long. It'd be super nice to be able to see how many bullets you have like on the screen rather than just not being able to shoot. So a lot of cool stuff we can get going, and hopefully a little bit simpler and less complex things than trying to build advanced AIs. But guys, this is so awesome. Thank you so much for sticking with the series and watching these videos. I hope this has been super helpful and that you are feeling happy and proud and ecstatic about the game that you've been able to build just by following along. So as always, thanks so much. Let me know any comments or suggestions you have in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.